Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the custody of God Narayana, unto Narayana, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta Prayesha Badreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service as the personality of Godhead, who is praised with fanciful songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Mataji, welcome all of you. Thank you for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna. So today, we'll be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, 16th chapter. And we're kind of nearing the conclusion of this chapter. So one more verse is there. So today we'll be reciting and discussing from 36th verse. That is 3:16:36. Tayorasurayoradya tejasayamayorhivaha akshiptam tejetarhi Bhagavanstat viditsati Tayorasarayor adhya Tejasayamayorhivaha Akshiptam tejetarhi Bhagavanstat viditsati Tayorasurayoradhya Tejasayamayorhivaha Akshiptam tejetarhi Bhagavanstat viditsati. Anybody would like to recite?
Hare Krishna.
Please go ahead.
Tayor asurayor adhyam tejasayamayor hivaha akshiptam teja edarhi bhagavanstat viditsati.
Anybody else wants to recite? Okay, we'll go to the synonyms. Tayoho, of them. Asurayoho, of the two asuras. Adya, today. Tejasa, by the prowess. Yamayoho, of the twins. He, certainly. Vaha, of all you demigods. Agitate, akshiptam, agitated. Tejaha, power. Etarhi, thus, certainly. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tat, that. Vidit Sati, desires to do. Translation and purport by Divine Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please hear the translation and purport. It is the prowess of these twin asuras, demons, that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. Purport. Although Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, formerly Jaya and Vijaya, became asuras, the demigods of this material world could not control them, and therefore Lord Brahma said that neither he nor all the demigods could counteract the disturbance they created. They came within the material world by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he alone could counteract such disturbances. In other words, although Jaya and Vijaya assumed the bodies of asuras, they remained more powerful than anyone, thus proving that the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to fight because the fighting spirit is also within him. He is original in everything, but when he desires to fight, he must fight with a devotee. Therefore, by his desire only were Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the Kumaras. The Lord ordered the gatekeepers to go down to the material world to become his enemies so that he could fight with them and his fighting desires would be satisfied by the service of his personal devotees. Brahma showed the demigods that the situation created by the darkness for which they were disturbed was the desire of the Supreme Lord. He wanted to show that even though these two attendants were coming in the forms of demons, they were very powerful, greater than the demigods, who could not control them. So no one can surpass the acts of the Supreme Lord. The demigods were also advised not to try to counteract this incident because it was ordered by the Lord. Similarly, anyone who is ordered by the Lord to perform some action in this material world, especially preaching his glories, cannot be counteracted by anyone. The will of the Lord is executed under all circumstances. Srila Prabhupada's transcendental purport ki jai. Om Gyantimarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yonta Pravishya Mamavacham Mam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akila Shakti Dharasvadhamnam Nanyam Chahasta Charana Shravanata Gadin Prana Namo Bhagavate Pushai Tubhyam Namo Shri Krishna 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 Namo Shri Krishna Krishna Namo Shri Krishna Krishna Jai Shri Krishna. So Hare Krishna Guru Swadhi, welcome all of you. So this chapter so wonderful, lot of things we were able to learn. So third canto, 16th chapter. So we are discussing verse number 36. In the purport, Prabhupada says, no, although Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, formerly they were Jaya and Vijaya, they became Asuras because of the curse, right? The demigods of this middle world, they could not control them. And therefore, Brahma said that neither he nor all the demigods could counteract the disturbance they created. They came within the middle world by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he alone could counteract such disturbances. See, just before this verse, 35th verse, no, it's describes how the demons are born. See, here's a clear proof. The purport of 3:16:35, Prabhupada says, here's a clear proof of how a living entity coming originally from Vaikuntha is engaged in material elements. The living entity takes shelter within the semen of a father, which is injected within the womb of a mother. And with the help of the mother's emulsified ovum, the living entity grows a particular type of a body. Now, in this connection, Prabhupada says it is to be remembered that the mind of Kashyapa Muni was not in order when he conceived the two sons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Therefore, the semen he discharged was simultaneously extremely powerful and mixed with the quality of anger. So it is to be concluded that while conceiving a child, one's mind must be very sober and devotional. For this purpose, the Garbhadana Samskara is recommended in the Vedic scriptures. If the mind of the father is not sober, just a moment, I think there is some disturbance, right? I just mute all. So for this purpose, Garbhadana Samskara is recommended, right, in the Vedic scriptures. So if the mind of the father is not sober, then the semen discharge will not be very good. Therefore, the living entity wrapped in the matter produced from the father and mother will be demonic like Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The conditions of conception are to be carefully studied. And this is a very great science. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So this is what he described in just the previous verse, 1635. See, we may invent so many ways to be happy or to counteract the dangers of this middle world. But unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. So those who try to be happy without taking shelter for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are called Moodas. Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada tells them rascals. Namam dushkritino moodaha prapadyante na naradamaha. So those who are the lowest of men, refuse to take to Krishna consciousness because they think that they will be able to protect themselves without Krishna's care. This is their mistake. The decision of the king of the elephants, Gajendra, was correct. See, in such a dangerous position, what did he do? He sought the shelter of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. He was being, this long fight was going on. He was being pulled by the crocodile, right? And he was in the water, which is not his original position, right? He is an animal of the land. And whereas crocodile is of the water, so he's more powerful. So he was struggling, but at that moment also, he was seeking the shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna. See, Dhruva Maharaj in the 4.8.81 purport, Prabhupada says, Dhruva Maharaj's influence attained by executing devotional service unto the Lord was felt even by the demigods who had never before experienced such a situation. Because of Dhruva Maharaj controlling his breathing, the entire universal breathing process was choked. It is by the will of the Lord that the material entities cannot breathe, whereas the spiritual entities are able to breathe. So wonderful, no? Material entities are products of the Lord's external energy, whereas spiritual entities are products of the Lord's internal energy. See, the demigods then approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of both kinds of entities, in order to know why their breathing was choked. They are demigods, right? So the Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for the solution to all problems within this material world. So in the spiritual world, there are no problems. But the material world is always problematic. So since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a master of both the material and spiritual worlds, it is better to approach him in all problematic situations. Therefore, those who are devotees, they have no problems in this material world. Devotees are free from all problems because they are fully surrendered to Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. For a devotee, everything in the world is very pleasing because he knows how to use everything in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. See, in Chaitanya Charitamrita 22.14 and 15, Prabhupada says in the purport, due to being conditioned by the external energy, the conditioned soul within this material world gets two kinds of bodies. A gross material body and a subtle material body composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. Now, due to the gross and subtle bodies, he is subjected to the threefold miseries. What are they? Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Devika. There is Adhyatmik means my miseries arising from the body and mind. Adi Bhautik, other living entities give misery to you. And Adi Devik, that is the natural disturbances caused by demigods from higher planetary systems. So the conditioned soul, subjected to the threefold material miseries, is continuously kicked by Maya. And this is his disease. And if by chance he meets a saintly person who works on Krishna's behalf to deliver the conditioned souls, and if he agrees to abide by his order, he can gradually approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. See, it appears that human beings and asuras are subject to death, whereas demigods are not. The demigods who reside with Lord Brahma in Satyaloka go to Vaikuntha Loka in their present bodily construction at the time of the dissolution. Therefore, although Hiranyakashipu, he had undergone severe austerities, and Lord Brahma predicted that he had to die. He could not become immortal or even gain equal status with the demigods. So the great austerities and penances which Hiranyakashipu had performed for so many years could not give him protection from death. And this was foretold by Lord Brahma. So in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, 3rd verse, Yomam ajam manadhim cha vettilokam maheshwaram asam moda samarteshu sarva papai pramuchyate. In this verse, the words Vettiloka Maheshwaram indicate that one should know that Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary systems of this universe. He was existing before the creation and is different from his creation. all the demigods were created within this material world. But as far as Krishna is concerned, it is said that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets. So Krishna is therefore different from everything that is created. And anyone who knows him as such immediately becomes liberated from all sinful reactions. One must be liberated from all sinful activities to be in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Only by devotional service can he be known, and not by any other means, as it is given in Bhagavad Gita. So, one should not try to understand Krishna as a human being. Only a foolish person thinks him to be a human being. And this again expressed in a different way, right? A man who is not foolish, who is intelligent enough to understand the constitutional position of the Godhead, is always free from all sinful reactions. See, Krishna's devotees are also like that. See, they have to execute the mission of Krishna, right? Just like Parikshit Maharaj. He's a great devotee of Krishna. So he's going out with a soldier to fight. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj also, he fought. Prahlad Maharaj, he also fought, right? Because they were kings. So their duty is to subdue, conquer over demons. Not that because one is Krishna devotee, he should not do anything, any other thing. If required, a devotee can do anything as ordered by Krishna. Krishna ordered Arjuna to fight. Arjuna personally was not inclined to fight, right? He is Vaishnava. He, in fact, wanted to forgive. He said, let them enjoy. Krishna, I do not wish to fight with my cousin brothers. I cannot tolerate the death. My grandfather, teacher. So better I will not fight. Let them enjoy the kingdom. This is what Arjuna was arguing. Giving reasons, no. Krishna said, no, that cannot be. It is my plan that they should be killed. So you must fight. So therefore, a devotee's duty is to carry out the order of Krishna. Therefore, he fought. Personally, he did not want to fight, but he cannot disobey the order of Krishna. That is not possible. Karishye vachanam tava. 18.73 Bhagavad Gita says. When Krishna inquired, what is your decision? Arjuna said, yes, even though I do not like to fight, still because it is your order, I must fight. Karishye vachanam tava. So devotee hasn't got any personal decision. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. Evam parampara praptam, evam rajarashyo viduhu. 4.2. We should decide by the order of Krishna through the disciplic succession. That is the via media spiritual master. So that is required. The devotee cannot decide personally. If Krishna desires, if somebody says that we cannot see Krishna personally, then you have to decide by Krishna's representative. If a spiritual master, guru says that you have to do this, that is Krishna's order. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadat. So by satisfying the spiritual master, you satisfy the Supreme Lord Krishna also. And that is very natural. Just like when you go to your work, your immediate boss, supervisor, who is in charge of your work, he must be satisfied. You don't jump up to the CEO directly, right? Or in the head of the department or the chief person. No. But when the immediate supervisor is satisfied, the ultimate boss will automatically be satisfied. So if something is done and the proprietor sees that the immediate office superintendent is satisfied, then he accepts. Yes, that's all right. He does not have to come inspect personally, no. If the superintendent of the office says that this clerk or this man works nicely, the proprietor accepts it. Similarly, yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadat. We have to satisfy our spiritual master by sevaya. So here Arjuna, he was declining to fight. How can I fight with my grandfather? He is respectable. He has brought me up since my father's death. And here's my teacher, Dronacharya. He has taught me this military art. Whatever I am warrior, my expertise is due to him. And do you think, Krishna, I shall kill them? No, I can fight with them. I can kill. But it is not my duty. Arjuna says like that. But Krishna says, no, you must be dutiful. Never mind who is that, your grandfather or teacher. No, when there is a fight, you are a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya should not have any other consideration but fight. He must fight. And that is for a right cause, right? See, even Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, he has nothing to do. He also sometimes thinks that I must fight with somebody. I must play. I must become subordinate to somebody. See the thinking of Krishna, right? Therefore he comes. He becomes subordinate to Nanda Yashoda. That is pleasure. He becomes chastised and then he fights with demons. See, some of the demons, they are devotees. Just like if I want to take massage, Prabhupada says in one of the lectures, if I want to take massage, I found out masseurs from devotees with all the strength. I cannot go outside, right? So similarly, Janmadhyasya yataha, first verse of the Bhagavatam, the fighting spirit is there in Krishna also. So when he wants to fight, in the Vaikuntha, there is no possibility of fight. Nobody will be able to fight. Nobody will agree to fight. So there is no fighting in Vaikuntha Loka. Fighting means must be inimical propensity. So unless you think, no, I am your enemy, and I think you are my enemy, the fighting is not going on. So if I think I am fighting with my friend, it will be false fighting, no? Fighting must be between two strong enemies. Therefore, sometimes Jaya and Vijaya come. The question is, why the living entity falls down? It's not falls down. Just like Jaya Vijaya came to justify his master. His master desired to fight. So some of his servants went to the middle world and became great enemy, like Hiranyakashipu, Ravana. So for kill Ravana, Lord Rama is coming. So when Ravana could not be killed without Lord Ram. So if Ram desired, millions of Ravanas could be killed in 1 second. But why is he coming personally to fight with him? Just to satisfy the pleasure pastime. That I shall fight, and that is right. If Krishna is the creator of everything and is so dear to everyone, why then has he created so much suffering? Good question, right? If Krishna created everything and everyone is dear to him, why should he cause so much suffering? This was a question to Prabhupada in Los Angeles. So Prabhupada replied, when a man is deceased, that does not mean everyone is deceased. That disease is his choice. He has caused the disease. Similarly, suffering we cause. If that suffering is for all, why the other man is not suffering? Why you are only suffering? That means you are the cause for your suffering. The same reasoning that somebody says, oh, the High Court judge is so unkind to me. He has ordered for my hanging. Is that correct? You have caused your hanging. High Court judge has simply given the judgment that he should be hanged. He has committed murder. He should be hanged. Therefore, you cause your hanging, not that the High Court judge is your enemy and he is giving you order to be hanged. You are the cause of your hanging. Similarly, Krishna is impartial. He can give the judgment that this man has committed this offense. He should be punished like this. So these are common reasons. See, Krishna is all kind, all great. How he should be so mean-minded that he should give somebody suffering and somebody enjoyment? Is it not mean-mindedness if I treat different people differently? See, Prabhupada says in one of the lectures, he says, I have got so many disciples. If I treat some of my disciples very nicely and some of my disciples badly, is that very good for me? So, God is all kind. How he can be like that? It is my karma. So, this is law of karma, fruitive activities. If you work in a certain way, you get the fruit. If you study very nicely, you become very educated. See, the university has the facility to give you education, right? But if you say, why God has made me uneducated, illiterate, is it a reason? University is open for all. Why did you not take the trouble of being educated? You can answer why the government has made me uneducated. Government is giving facility to everyone. So only government has made me criminal. You have made yourself a criminal. See, my Guru Maharaj, he liked this next verse, 37th verse, which comes after this. It's very nice because the last line of the translation is very, very important for us to understand. And it is very important for us to put it into daily practice, day-to-day life. That statement is, what purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on this subject? What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? You see 3:16, that is on the last verse of this chapter. See, sometimes we keep deliberating on some unfavorable incidents over and over again and waste a lot of time and forget our sadhana and service. See, by sharing those incidents with others, we commit further sin of wasting others' time as well. My Guru Maharaj used to say, if you want, you waste your time, but don't waste others' time. So in one of the correspondence to his disciple, Srila Prabhupada says, your description of past incidents may be forgotten. We are not concerned with past misunderstandings. We are concerned only with progressive service to Krishna. So in any communication, we can have this nice check. What is this check? You would ask this question, what purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? Suppose anything has to be done. So you just find out whether this will please Krishna, right? So what purpose can we serve on Krishna's behalf by deliberating on this subject? So this verse, so when something is arranged by the Supreme Lord, one should not be disturbed by it, even if it appears to be a reverse according to one's calculations. See, for example, sometimes we see that a powerful preacher is killed, or sometimes he's put into difficulty. Just as Haridas Thakura was. He was a great devotee who came into this material world to execute the will of the Lord by preaching the Lord's glories, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. He was known as a Ramachandra. But Haridas Thakur was punished at the hands of the Qazi by being beaten in 22 marketplaces. He was whipped. Similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified. And Prahlad Maharaj was put through so many tribulations. The Pandavas, who were direct friends of Krishna, they lost the kingdom. Their wife was insulted. And they had to undergo many severe tribulations. So seeing all these reverses affect devotees, which is affecting the devotees, right? One should not be disturbed. One should simply understand that in these matters, there must be some plan of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. So one who continues to serve the Lord even in reverse conditions is assured that he will go back to Godhead, back to Vaikuntha planets. This is Srila Prabhupada very nicely says in the purport, a devotee should be blameless because any offense by the devotee is a scar on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotee's duty is to be always conscious in his dealings with others, especially with another devotee of the Lord. If you are not able to serve elders, Guru, and Krishna favorably, you should at least refrain from bringing them bad name. So how to ensure that you always behave in a sane manner? That's what the last, it gives the answer to the problem. So when the demigods became afraid of the unprecedented darkness covering the three worlds, they took shelter of Lord Brahma. The cause of darkness was due to the presence of the demons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. They were in the womb of Diti for 100 years. And when the demigods were becoming over anxious, Lord Brahma explained to them the reason for the darkness and how the Supreme Lord will always protect us. So Brahmaji advises, what purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on this subject? We have to be patient. Krishna is so many instances he says, no, to the demigods, no, be patient, now is not the time. Now the demons are powerful because they are following the instruction of the Brahmana, Shukracharya. Whereas you, Lord Indra disregarded his spiritual master, right? So that's why the demigods were on a lower position. So if the answer to the above question results in some favorable or pleasing service for the Lord and his devotees, then we can proceed with thinking, speaking, and executing. Or else we should not proceed further in that direction. See, we should always remember the differences between spiritual and material actions. The Supreme Lord, being all spiritual, can perform any act without any extraneous help. In the material world, if you want to manufacture an earthen pot, we need the ingredients, the machine, and also laborer. Correct? But we should not extend this idea to the actions of the Supreme Lord. Because Krishna can create anything in a moment, without which we see, we want to have so many other things to be conducted as in the material world. You need ingredients, machine, labor, right? For Krishna, nothing of that sort. The Lord appears as an incarnation to fulfill a particular purpose. This does not indicate that he is unable to fulfill it without appearing. He can do anything simply by his will. But by his causeless mercy, he appears to be dependent on his devotees. So he appears as the son of Yashoda Mata, not because he is dependent on her care, but because he accepts such a role by his causeless mercy. So when he appears for the protection of his devotees, he naturally accepts trials and tribulations on their behalf. That's why in Bhagavad Gita it is said, the Lord, being equally disposed towards every living being, has no enemies and no friends. But he has special affection for a devotee who always thinks of him in love. So this is very, very important for all of us to understand. That's why Brahmaji showed the demigods, the situation created by darkness for which they were disturbed was the desire of the Supreme Lord. So he wanted to show that even the two attendants, Jaya and Vijaya, were coming in the form of demons. They were very powerful, greater than the demigods. And who could not control them? No? So no one can surpass the acts of Supreme Lord. So the demigods were also advised not to try to counteract this incident because it was ordered by this Lord. So final statement, the last statement which Prabhupada gives in this purport of 31636, he says, similarly, anyone who is ordered by the Lord to perform some action in this middle world, especially preaching his glories, cannot be counteracted by anyone. The will of the Lord is executed under all circumstances. This is the beauty of this statement, right? So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they are formerly Jaya and Vijaya, who were cursed by Sanat Kumaras. Because Lord Krishna wanted to have a fight, no? So he could not fight with anybody else apart from his own devotees. So this was a plan he devised this plan, and this pastime was saying, and therefore they came as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu through Kashyapa Muni, right? And Diti Mata. So with this, we'll stop here. Thank you very much, Mata. Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go, Hare Krishna. If anybody has anything to share, questions, go ahead. Thank you very much. Mancha Kalpatarubhich Kripasam Dubai Vicha. Paditanam Pavanam Jyoshti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare
Thank you for
Krishna.
the
Thank you, Mother. Thank you,
explanation.
Mother. Hare Krishna.
Especially, I liked that statement which you made, Prabhuji, that
Yes.
how we will know what is Krishna's desire. Like so many times we think, but you said like the example of CEO and the manager. Like if you follow Guru's order, then yes, like it's a very practical example that we can really relate to. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji, for that.
Thank you, Mother. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you, Santa Mother.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Mother. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranams. If nobody has anything to say, any lessons to take from this class, which you will find very useful for you to utilize in your daily life, which will improve your behavior. That's the main purpose of Bhagavatam. Improve your behavior. Not to prove that I know Bhagavatam, but improve our behavior.
To
Hare Krishna,
have
Prabhu.
faith in large plans, Prabhu, like not crib about our situations and circumstances.
Yes, very nice, Mataji. Very good point. Yes, Suhasini Mataji, you were telling something?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Very
Hare
nice
Krishna,
class,
thank you.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. It's all Krishna's and Guru's mercy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna. Anybody else, anything to tell us? Otherwise, we can close this, Prabhu. So,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
It was a nice class, Prabhuji. If no class,
Thank you.
Prabhu is not there.
Okay, Mataji. No problem. Okay. So, shall I close it, Mataji?
Yes, yes,
We
yes.
can close. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu Mataji. Thank you for joining and giving, glorifying the Supreme Lord an opportunity. This is with grace. This Bhagavatam hearing is very, very important. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.